This is a friendly reminder of just how much power women have. They need us to validate them. They need us. Now, I'm going to go into what a trash person this man is. But the point of this video, even though it's probably going to make you mad if you care about women or humanity in general, but this man needs her, and he needs his mommy, and he needs all the women in his life to vouch for him. And without women, these men can't do as much harm. So please please see the hope in this. I know it's going to take a while for us to get women like this over here on the team, because they're playing for the white nationalist fascist team right now. But you know what? We don't need all of them. We just need enough to stop propping up men like this. So I can't change her. I can't make her do anything. But what I can do is continue to help women see we have so much influence and power, and when we use it for good, we get somewhere. And then especially women who look like me, white women, when we use this for villain stuff, the everybody hates us, rightfully so, and the world keeps going this way. So let's all get on the same team here, because I don't want to be on a team with a fascist. Do you? And yet these men need us. They 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 could not be where they are without us. Not just enabling in the daily life. I mean, they need us to stand by them and be like, my man, my man, my man. And his mommy, she's doing that now. But there was a time when she was a girl's girl, kinda. So let's go into this whole story, because this man is a perfect example of pretty much the incoming administration. But even Trump, of all people, convicted rapist and just predator on every level, worst human being, well, not even worst, but one of the most awful people. Even he is I don't know if I like this guy anymore. Why? Because mommy was wrote that email. And everybody knows if his mommy isn't going to go defend him, then maybe we should come with him. And now, of course, she's like, no, I didn't mean it, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to talk about that in a minute. But there's so many people who are this man sucks, that even Trump is yeah, maybe not. I just want you to see, the point of this is how much power we have. We have so much power, not in just, emotional labor, invisible labor, mental load, all the things we do for these men, but literally just standing next to them gives them so much power. And the less we stand next to them and vouch for them and lie for them and stay silent, for the less harm they will do the world. Because like I said in my videos of this dude, Conor McGregor, without all these kids and this woman, this man would be doing a lot worse. She gives him validity. Her and his mommy, and then the kids by extension give him the family man. So surely he can't be a rapist if he has all these children and a wife who stands by her man no matter what. I've already gone over this story. I've already gone over this. Before you're like, but she's a victim too. Maybe. She's still doing a lot of harm. No matter who it is, no matter what they've done, as long as they have a woman standing by them and vouching for them, people don't take the mom as seriously if she stands by them. But if the mom doesn't stand by them, woo! That's what really made people go, uh-oh. So when a wife stands by her man, that counts. Look at that. When a mother stands by her baby boy, well, we expect it, but it counts. But when either of those people don't stand by their man, oh my God, then this person's in trouble, or at least a little bit more likely to be in trouble. They will always have a woman to cape for them. They will always humiliate the woman and who will pay the consequences more than they will. Always, always, always. And you know what? I understand the pressure that women are under to stand by their man no matter what, because they have everything to lose, but they end up losing no matter what. So come on over, honey, because we end up hating you for standing by him. This is in politics. It's in Hollywood. There's always a woman who will help a man come back. I have a whole video for you, Blanche, if y'all want it. The French comedian who was super cool until she dated this man, and now it's like, oh my God. But the family man, as long as he has his little family and a wife and a mommy who will be like, no, he's a good man, they will continue to fail forward. Now, this isn't the first time that mommy has shown up to defend him, and it won't be the last. I'll go to her most recent interview where she is trying to backtrack everything she said. This is their baby boy and they're very proud of him. Well, let's get into what baby boy did. Well, you see, it's a lot. I don't even know if I have time to cover it all. Before we get into it, please follow my Patreon. Even the free tier, if you can't afford it, that's how you keep up with my work. That's where I'm doing so much stuff, and that's what gives me so much security at the Patreon, where I share crazy stories from France, like a French wrestling match. This is one of the wrestlers, literally skinny jean, whatever. I can't reveal what happened, but this video is coming soon. French monster truck rally. Yes. Y'all think that France is so it is not the country you think it is. It is, but it isn't. You see me with the baby donkeys that I married into the family of. You get to come to my lives with journalists. This is my last one. With Rose Hackman, who wrote this book, Emotional Labor, with Michelle Simpson-Teagle, who was one of the people who took Larry Nassar down. My next one is with Delusional Influencer on TikTok, or Tammy, who's also here on YouTube. I will tag her. We're going to talk about the empathy scorecard. We're going to talk about empathy. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff. Her work has changed my life fundamentally. I had Daniela, the author of Uncultured. I have so many cool guests, and they are going to keep coming, y'all. But I also am going to start doing watch parties. There's one coming up on December 29th. We're going to watch my appearance on National Geographic, a TV show that I was on. I've never watched it because I was too embarrassed. And y'all got to watch it with me. So anyway, I do so much stuff over there. I put so much love into that page where I get to share just whatever. And it's how I pay my rent. So please follow it if you want to see extra content. And also I do Zooms with just hang out with people. I do all kinds of stuff, so go check it out. And don't forget about Femme Free. I'm gonna put a link to that also in my caption, where for a month, starting from December 1st to January 1st or longer, we're staying off the dating apps. We're staying away from places where we are the product, and we are stop putting our money into men that hate us, and instead pour that money into women and femmes, but especially black-owned businesses. One of my moderators, Erica, has an Etsy shop I posted about yesterday. And as always, if you really like my work, please comment. I think more than 5 words is what really helps. Like, share. You can hit the share button without actually sharing it. All those things helps me and my mutuals who you like the content of get to our subs. It's really hard for people to see my work. No matter how many followers I have, most of y'all don't see my work just because of an algorithm thing. So set notifications if you want to fix that too. Anyway, let's get into it, because this man is such a perfect example of where we're at right now, and also how much power we actually have and what we need to start withholding. This article came out in New Yorker after the New York Times one, so this one's even worse. But let's go to the original one that Mommy Pete wrote. And before I go into her, y'all, whenever I'm criticizing the moms of these people, oh my God, my dog, what? Hold on. He just almost fell off the couch because he rolled over. He did his rotisserie chicken on a small couch, and just, anyway. Whenever I'm criticizing the mothers of men like this, it is not because I'm holding them more responsible than the father. Just to be clear, it is just because fathers are oftentimes not doing anything. And a lot of them are going to continue to not do anything. They absolutely are just as responsible for their children. But I tend to focus on mothers because men are not following my page. They're not listening to me. And I also, I criticize men constantly. But I also want to help women see how we're being used as pawns and how we can unpack this stuff, because a lot of us are perpetuating patriarchy without even realizing it. I'm sure I am still doing it in some ways that I haven't learned yet, you know? Just in the last couple years that I realized that I need to not respond to men's comments to me online. Which is why I have moderators who help me keep them out of my comment section, so y'all don't waste your time trying to defend me against men that I don't want in my comments at all. You know what I mean? So we all have stuff to learn here, but the more I learn about what I can do to stop propping up men who hate me, and maybe help y'all do that too, the better off we all are. But I'm never ever blaming moms for the behavior of men, because fathers are part of it too. But a lot of us are feeding this system knowingly or unknowingly, and we have to stop. So this is the man we are talking about. These tattoos are very problematic. We'll go into that more. This is the man who is going to be what? Secretary of Defense? This man. This seemingly chronic alcoholic who is still very, very sick with alcoholism, and also is allegedly a rapist and all kinds of other things too. He doesn't seem ashamed of it either. Teddy Roosevelt, you know, proud party man, wants to be in charge of the most powerful, you know, one of the people in charge of the most powerful military in the world. I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable with that. The woman that he's married to now, he had a secret baby with. You know, like, this man has had just one affair after another, but that's like the least problematic thing he's done. He rejects the title of stepfather. So all of those kids are his. You know what? When he cheats on her and leaves her for another woman, they will not be his kids anymore. Then they'll be his stepkids. He also, I mean, you know, who does this? Fox producer, blonde white lady who had an affair with him and had a kid with him. She already had kids, I guess. I don't know. I'm not even going into all this crap. But, you know, Trump National Golf Course, great. These, like, the Jenny and Pate, they're just family people. If this man, and when I'm about to read you all the stuff that he has been accused of by coworker people, like, this man is awful. But he gets to be in all these positions of power because of all of the other people in this stupid pyramid. And because he went to, like, Princeton and whatever, taken, you know, seriously. Even when he was there, look what he was doing. He wrote for the Princeton Tory. I'm going to go into that later on. Harvard. So I don't trust anybody who's a part of any kind of evangelical church. Confederation of anything evangelical. Moscow, Idaho. I don't know much about Idaho. I do. I lived in Montana for 5 years. The panhandle of Idaho is known for, like, Proud Boys and all kinds of terrifying. So just to, like, recap his life, he was already on his second marriage when in August of that year, his new wife, who he was the affair partner, then gave birth to their love child, exposing the lengthy affair. The birth of the daughter, Gwen, prompted his wife, Samantha, his ex-wife now, to file for divorce. And that is when Mama came in and wrote that email, which I'm going to go over in a minute. So after a really long, I don't know, bitter is the wrong word, contingent divorce, $2 million settlement, and he agreed to pay the mother of his 3 sons, Boone, Gunner, and Rex. Oh my God. Boone, Gunner, Rex, T-Rex, up to $20,000 a month in spousal support, plus child maintenance and school fees. So after all that, then comes the alleged essay at the Hyatt. Now, allegedly, he paid that off because he didn't want to lose his job at Fox. But despite all of this, less than 3 weeks later, him and his affair partner were sitting proud at a private dinner next to Trump and the dude who unalive Osama bin Laden. By December that winter, they had a wedding, and all good. He appeared unfazed by the chaotic few months. Now, this man has a serious alcohol problem. As somebody who has struggled with addictions myself, and know that world very well, I empathize for people who have addictions, but I will never let that excuse anything they do, especially when it is like essaying people, unaliving people, blah, blah, blah. Apparently, someone called in and said he and Jen were sloppy drunk. Jacket came off. Next was the tie, and he's unbuttoning his shirt, and they were just all over each other. Like, I don't care about that. Like, this man, like, just wait until we get into the New Yorker. It is just story after story of this dude is just wasted all the time. It sounds like he's wasted all the time. And he's not just like a nice chill drunk. He is like like, you know what I mean? There's two different kinds. And this is like the scariest kind. They basically started hooking up when he was on Fox and Friends. Which, you know, if she's a producer on that show, it's like, Jen would always insist on being there. She had her eyes on him all the time and watched him like a hawk. People very much started to notice that she had more than professional interest in his performance. As for Pete, he always had a bit of a reputation as being a skirt chaser. Now, all this stuff sounds like gossip, whatever. And it could be. But when you read the endless accusations of the crazy behavior from so many people, it's like, checks out. And again, who wants this man, especially with this tattoo and this tattoo, with the hands on the nuke? No thanks. Now, this is the second time this man has been divorced because of an affair. First time was with a coworker. Shocker. He worked for Vets for Freedom. Now, don't be confused with Veterans for Peace. That is an organization doing good. This is a nightmare. And the funny thing is now these awful people live in Nashville, my hometown. And they moved there because of the conservative state Christian value. So what did Pete's mom say about him? Before she retracted all of that, or basically came back and was like, never mind, no. Let's read this together before we read her being like, never mind, don't believe old me. He was in the middle of his divorce to the mother of his children. Son, I've tried to keep quiet about your character and behavior, but after listening to the way you made Samantha feel today, I cannot stay silent. And as a woman and your mother, I feel I must speak out. See, this is the energy we need. This is what I tell you. I'm always so impressed when a mother will speak out against her son, hold her son accountable, because so many mothers just don't. They just watch as their sons treat their wives like crap, or even treat their own children like crap. So, sounds like the girl here for a minute. You are an abuser of women. For his mother to say that, given how Christian and all that crap that they are. Sorry, I don't mean to say crap, but like they are like very religious. For her to call him an abuser, she is stepping out of line. So that's why this is printed. His own mother said this about him. And again, we expect mothers to fall in line and support their sons, and when they don't, it is so powerful. It carries a lot of weight because this is going against what all mothers are supposed to do, is unconditional love no matter what. For their sons, at least. For their sons. Not for their daughters. They treat their daughters very different often. Anyway, you're an abuser. That is the ugly truth. And I have no respect for any man that belittles, lies, cheats, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power and ego. You are that man. Liar, cheater, sleeps around, and uses women for his own power. and have been for years. And as your mother, it pains me and embarrasses me to say that it is, but it is the sad, sad truth. I am no saint, far from it. So don't throw that in my face. But your abuse over the years to women, dishonesty, sleeping around, betrayal, debasing, belittling, needs to be called out. Y'all, this is an amazing email. Sam is a good mother and a good person under the circumstances that you created. And I know deep down that you know that. For you to try to label her as unstable for your own advantage is despicable and abusive. Is there any sense of decency left in you? She did not ask for or deserve any of what has come to her by your hand. So neither did Meredith. I know you think this one big competition and that we have taken her. She means this is one. Bunk. Okay, I don't understand. But we are on the side of good, and that is not you. Go ahead and call me self-righteous. I don't care. Don't you dare run to her and cry foul that we shared with us. That's what babies do. She didn't call him a baby. Love it. It's time for someone, and I wish it was a strong man. Are you calling out your husband here for not saying what he should have said? I wish a strong man would do it, but I'm going to do it. To stand up to your abusive behavior and call it out, especially against women. We still love you, but we are broken by your behavior and lack of character. I don't want to write emails like this and never thought I would. If it damages our relationships further, then so be it. But at least I have said my piece. Redacted something. And yes, we are praying for you. And you don't deserve to know how we are praying. So skip the snarky reply. Whoa, what is that about? Interesting. I don't want to answer to this. I don't want to debate with you. You twist and abuse everything I say anyway. So, she's like, you're awful to all women, including me. But on behalf of all the women, and I know it's many, you have abused in some way, I say, get some help and take an honest look at yourself, Mom. It is not common that, especially in this little world of super religious white nationalist kind of thing, it's very rare to see Mom stand up to, where is he? The prince, the king baby. She did. This man who was, powerful, who, it's easy to stand up to your, deadbeat son, but to stand up to this man, but it was all in vain. But something made her change her mind, because of course now she's going on an apology tour of no, I didn't mean it, I regret that, it wasn't true. So this email is what we should focus on. But days after that the New York Times came out with this, and that she said that she regrets that email and has apologized to him. Grow a spine. In an phone interview with the New York Times, she said that she had sent her son an immediate follow-up email at the time apologizing for what she'd written. She said she had fired off the original email in anger with emotion, just being a crazy bitch, how we can get so emotional when he was going through a very difficult divorce. In the new interview, the recent one, she defends her son and disavowed the sentiment that she had expressed in the initial email. It is not true. It has never been true. I know my son. Yeah, you sure knew him before. He's a good father, husband, all those things that y'all need him to see him so he can succeed and get one of the most powerful positions in the world. She said publishing the contents of that first email was disgusting. Okay. The thing is that it's not, she just talked about women. We don't even know who she was talking about, but she was mostly defending her daughter-in-law, the mother of her grandchildren. But wait till you hear what else this man's done. His own mother called him an abuser, a liar, manipulator, just everything possible to make him seem like the worst person to ever procreate with, marry, or have a finger on the nuke. The mom expresses regret for her emotional message. I was just being crazy, y'all. You know us bitches are crazy. You know how we are. Emotional. Because men definitely are not emotional. Yeah. Definitely do not cry and rage and unalive people. And 13 months after that, she praised her son on Mother's Day. Didn't take long for her to change her tune. How he excelled in high school and college. Above all, he showed love for his country in the military. I'm grateful for that, Pete, and proud every day to be your mom. Wow, you really did a 180 there, lady. So what else has this man done? Because it gets so much worse. This New Yorker article is... I'm going to have to skip over stuff. It's so big. Right out of the gate, they remind us questions about his stability to run the largest and most lethal military force are valid. You know what? Even if affairs and babies aside, all of this behavior in this article terrifies me that this man could be making any decisions at all, much less the ones in this position. So this article, it's a bunch of documents corroborated by accounts of former colleagues. They interviewed a lot of people. That there's so much reporting that goes into this. This is really good journalism. He was forced to step down by both of the two nonprofit advocacy groups that he ran before, Veterans for Freedom and Concerned Veterans for America. Both of those in the face of serious allegations of financial mismanagement, sexual impropriety, and personal misconduct. So, we know that men and the society in general don't really take SA seriously, but it's not just that. It's so much more. That alone should disqualify him, but we know it's not going to. So there's some whistleblowers who contributed to this. So when he was the president of Concerned Veterans for America, one of the whistleblowers described him as being repeatedly intoxicated while acting in his official capacity, to the point of needing to be carried out of the organization's events. A detailed 7-page report states that at one point he had to be restrained while drunk from joining dancers on the stage of a Louisiana strip club where he had brought his team. It also says that Pate, while who was married at the time, and other members of his management team, regularly pursued the organization's female staffers, whom they divided into two groups, the party girls and the not party girls. Now, anybody who's ever worked in boys' clubs, you know exactly what this is like. I myself worked in the film industry, in the comedy world, but more specifically and worse was like the outdoor adventure world, particularly the raft guiding world. Not all of these worlds are the same, but the raft guiding world is so toxic with this. In addition, the report asserts that under his leadership, the organization became a hostile workplace that ignored serious accusations of impropriety, including allegations by female employees that another employee of his had attempted to SA her at the club. Now, I'm just going to add a little story here. As a former cool girl, I've been to a club with all my guy friends my senior year of high school. And they tried to pay and remember to give me a lap dance so they could laugh at me being embarrassed. My stepmother, who I actually interviewed for one of my pieces for the Washington Post, talked about what it was like when, this was decades ago, when women were getting higher and higher up in corporate, that her job, one of the ridiculous job of hers, was to shuttle and take men to. This is very common for men to take women to these places so they can either assault them or embarrass them, or just to be their mommies there while they get drunk and do whatever, and the women there are in charge of getting them home safely. It's ridiculous, but it's very pervasive in these boys' clubs. Separate letter. And as being at a bar in early morning hours of May 29th while on the official tour through drunkenly chanting, "Unalive all." I'm not going to say it. I refuse to say this. Read it for yourself. Violent, Islamophobic, disgusting. These all go hand in hand. When they hate women, they also tend to be unbelievably racist, homophobic, transphobic, all the things. That's why we have to deconstruct all of it. It is never just one. One of this dude who currently leads the Senate committee, when talking about his nomination, much as we might be sympathetic to people with continuing alcohol problems, they shouldn't be at the top of our national security structure. It's dangerous. The Secretary of Defense is involved in every issue of national security. He's involved in the use of nuclear weapons. He's the one who approves sending troops into combat. He approves drone strikes that may involve civilian casualties. Literally life and death issues are in the hands of the Senate of Secretary of Defense. And entrusting these kinds of issues to somebody who might be incapacitated for any reason is a risk we cannot take. Which again is funny because they're not really worried about the judgment of a man who has been accused of raping lots of women and, cheating and all that stuff, and whose mom even read him for Phil. But, the alcohol thing is an issue. And it is, but this is what our priority. So, Pate resigned from Concerned Veterans for Americans under pressure. Why? He quietly resigned. And it was mutual, but was it? According to knowledgeable sources, 3 of them, one of who contributed to the whistleblowing report, he was forced to step down as part of concerns about his mismanagement and abuse of alcohol on the job. In the email, they said, among the staff, the disgust for Pete was pretty high. Most veterans do not think he represents them. He has a history of alcohol abuse and had treated the organization's funds like they were his personal expense account for partying, drinking, and using CVA events as little more than opportunities to hook up with women on the road. So maybe this is what his mom was talking about. This man has had way more than just 2 affairs, according to all these people. Now, mind you, all this crap is funded by the Koch family and all of them or whatever. So they're just a terrible whatever. What else has happened under this man's management? This whistleblowers describes several top managers being involved in drunken episodes, including an altercation at a casino and a hotel Christmas party at which food was thrown from the balcony. Pete said it was seen drunk at multiple CVA events. This whole project gave him and his team the opportunity to travel far from the organization's headquarters, him to give his little speeches and assisted conservative campaigns that are basically the reason why we are in this terrible position right now is what this man has been doing. But I digress. Dude also became an on-air contributor for Fox News. He was the public face of this thing. The Defend Freedom Tour. Others will say, I've seen him drunk so many times. I've seen him dragged away, not a few times, but multiple times. To have him at the Pentagon would be scary. Well, if this is what conservative people who work at this organization are saying about this man, when one of us who worked at CVA heard he was being considered the Secretary of Defense, it wasn't no, it was hell no. At one event in Virginia Beach on Memorial Day, he was totally sloshed and needed to be carried to his room because he was so intoxicated. The following month in Cleveland, an event, Pete, who had gone with his team to a bar around the corner from their hotel, was described as completely drunk in a public place. And there are apparently several high-profile people who were at this, but they're not talking. Oh, this is hilarious. They tried to rope this man. October 24th, they instituted a no alcohol policy at its events. But the next month, according to the report, Pete and another manager lifted the policy while overseeing and the get out the vote thing. They're like, no. What are you doing? According to the report, on the evening before the election, Pete, who had been out with 3 young female staffers, was so intoxicated by 1 a.m. that a staffer who had driven him to his hotel in a van full of other drunken staffers asked for assistance to get Pete to his room. Pete was completely passed out in the middle seat, slumped over, a young female staff member said. It took 2 male staff members to get him to the hotel. Another one helped him into bed. In the morning, a team member had to wake him up so he didn't miss his flight. All this happened in public. That's what I'm saying. These men just fail forward. They're doing all this in public, cameras, witnesses, and he is going to be one of the most powerful people in the world. Everyone who saw this was disgusted and in shock that the head of the team was that intoxicated. Volunteers were so concerned about his rampant promiscuity and sexism, he sent an email to the headquarters complaining about his lack of professionalism, an unhealthy workplace, and an atmosphere in which women were unfairly treated. Surprise, surprise! Another event, he takes the group to a strip club. He's so drunk he tried to get on stage and dance with the female associate. Had to get him off the stage. She had to intervene with security to prevent him from getting thrown out. Y'all, you know what it's like to babysit men at work? It's exhausting. Meanwhile, the female staffer who had to restrain him at the strip club alleged that a different male staffer member had attempted to essay her there. A manager, however, was described as dismissive for arguing that her attacker had been drunk and therefore shouldn't be held responsible. Of course. According to the report, this will shock nobody. The female staffer took steps to file a complaint with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission and hired outside counsel. According to the source, though, the matter was settled with a payment to the staffer. This is what this man does. He just pays people off. But as a result, the woman was ostracized and experienced reprisal by the organization. Shocked, said that it became a hostile, intimidating work environment. So this is this man, he can't even lead this little organization. But he's going to have this much power and access to nukes. Another female staffer was also described as having been essayed by a colleague, but was too intimidated to come forward because she desperately needs her job. We know this story. Fear of reprisal looms over every woman associated with this organization. December 2014, at an office Christmas party, Pete was noticeably intoxicated and had to be carried up to his room again. His behavior was embarrassing in front of the team, but not surprising. People have simply come to expect Pete to get drunk at social events. He's also terrible with money. Staffers cited a second incident in which he wrote that he was passed out in the back of the party bus and urinated in front of the hotel where their team was staying. These people that I disagree with so much, these are the people who are like, this dude's bad. Like people in an organization like this are like, he's really bad. Like if they're scared of him, y'all. Ugh. Now, then of course, Pete's talked about his struggles with alcohol. From going from an active military duty, and I felt lost. I'm just learning my lessons. That's what all men do. We just learn our lessons through traumatizing so many people, but we come out a better man. So isolated and unmoored. Aww. I have plenty of sympathy for vets. My dad was a vet of Vietnam. Treated like crap. They're just another pawn in this whole thing, but that doesn't mean they're not accountable for all the harm they do. When he wrote for this little Princeton Tory thing in his younger day, which was a pugnacious conservative journal that lambasted liberalism on campus, of course. This is like Nick Fuentes, okay? Like baby Nick. He published a commentary by another student mocking the view expressed during the school's orientation program that hanks with an unconscious partner constitutes grape. Did you just hear that right? This man was criticizing the school's policy that they called it grape when you rape someone unconscious. That's who this man is. The commentary claimed that grape required both a failure to consent and duress. The passed out woman couldn't experience. She can't be stressed out. She can't, if she's passed out, she's passive. She's accepting it. Yeah. These men in the Giselle Pellico case all said the same thing, more or less. Again, he's like, it was so hard for me. I went from being in the combat zone to being in a big old apartment in Manhattan without any contact on the phone calls with other guys I served with. I was lonely. So I didn't do much. I drank a lot. I had to process what I'd been through. Trying to while dealing with a civilian world that, frankly, just didn't seem to care. Nobody cared about me. Valid criticism of a vet who is not using it to explain grape. Advocating for veterans gave him a sense of purpose. And that's all he's ever been lacking. You know what else does? Fatherhood. See, we can trust him because he's a dad, even though he was a dad when he was doing all this. And look at this. In case you think that these organizations are good and care about vets, Vets for Freedom, which advocated for expanding the war in Iraq. Like, this is literally like, they're like, Veterans for Peace calls out, American imperialism and the racism and the white supremacy culture and the capitalism and the colonial mindset of the American military and how much harm it causes the entire world. Let's think of something that, helps us do all that. Veterans for Freedom. Freedom fries. Even a conservative sympathizer described it as an astroturf organization that had been devised by a handful of big-time political players to look like it was a grassroots veterans movement. So don't be fooled by any of these things that men like this are like, I volunteer and I help the vet. No, you don't. This dude believed ardently in the surge in the American war in Iraq. He came to the lead. He got them in all this debt. Even the donors of this terrible organization are like, whoa, when you have big, powerful white men who donate to crap like this, and they're like, wait a second, this guy sucks. He's terrible with money, and he's a completely unpredictable crazy man. And yet, y'all, he might have his hand on the button. In 2004, he married his first of 3 wives. His high school girlfriend from Minnesota, Meredith. But he often lived apart from her while working in Washington, staying at a pool house owned by the parents of one of her college friends. Well, this man is staying at one of her college friends' pool houses and probably bringing girls over there and forking them or, graping them. She filed for divorce in 2008 after he admitted to multiple infidelity. But in that pool house of your friend, his wife later learned that a journalist he'd introduced her to was among those who he'd had an affair with. Meanwhile, this man not only had all that over $400,000 in unpaid bill, he ran up credit card debt, as much as $75,000 in credit card debt for probably just going to smoke clubs and boozing. He was like, I can't pay this. So they're like, the donors are like, okay. Then there's all these details about how terribly he is with money and budget. And that, VFF is an exceedingly small organization, fewer than 10,000 employees, and a budget between $5 million and $10 million. This is all from Margaret Hoover, political commentary. But he's like, I don't know. He couldn't do that properly. I don't know how he's going to run an organization with $857 billion budget and 3 million individuals. That's right. The American military, that's our budget. That is why we do not have health care. Like anything good that a lot of other Western countries have is because of this right here. And also, and more importantly, racism. Some other organizations had to step down from them too. And even some of his former colleagues at Fox are like, this man, Fox, like one of the worst. He had a kind of what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas attitude while his wife and kids were in Minnesota. He was a huge drinker. I can't say if he had a problem, but he was very handsy with women. Okay, we know what that means. I've certainly seen him drunk. And there was this event. There was a woman who would become his alleged victim. A then 30-year-old organizer working with Republican women's group. See, y'all, don't work in these organizations. These men do not care about you. Tried to intervene when she thought that he was becoming pushing towards another attendee at the conference. He had allegedly touched that woman's legs and tried to get her to come to his hotel room. The female attendee told police that she had sent distress signals to Jane Doe in hopes of getting her to act as what she called a blocker. Later, the hotel's video surveillance captured Jane escorting away from the bar, walking him arm in arm because he's wasted. To engage in a loud argument by the pool, the employee said that the two separate guests had called to report the disturbance as Pete was very intoxicated again, saying that he cursed the employee when he approached them. Oh, good! He argued that he had freedom of speech. The alleged victim, who told police that she had drunk more than usual that day, but who had appeared not intoxicated to the hotel employee, apologized for his behavior, of course. There's always a woman on an apology tour for them, and told them that they were both Republicans. Yeah, I need Republican women to come over here. What are you doing? God! These men hate you. You get a little bit of power, especially white women. You get a little bit of power. They hate you. Guided him towards his hotel. Later, she told the police they'd been arguing what she regarded as inappropriate retreat. Oh, and this lady was there with her children and husband. He was waiting for her to return. He's making s'mores with their children. And she was complaining about all this stuff. So what we have here is a perfect victim situation. Because look at this. There's no perfect victim, right? We have a mother of 2 small children. Her husband is there. She's texting about how this guy's creep, blah, blah, blah. A few hours before dawn, the alleged victim returned to the hotel room that she was sharing with her husband and kid. She told police later that she couldn't recall much from what had happened, but 2 days later, she started having frightening flashbacks and nightmares. She told police that she hazily recalled Pete taking her phone and blocking the door as she tried to leave. She recalled him on top of her with his dog tags in her face. That's so specific, it's scary. She recalled saying no a lot. 4 days after the alleged assault, she went to a hospital and asked for a exam. She said that she thought someone might have slipped something in her drink and essayed her. She even brought in the clothes that she'd worn that night. Developed an infection that could have resulted from she declined to name her alleged assailant. The nurse was legally required to report the incident to the police, who opened an investigation. At that point, she identified her assailant. But his account was a little different. He'd just been buzzed, not intoxicated, because he definitely doesn't have an alcohol problem. So don't you dare accuse him of that. No memory of being belligerent. Of course you're not going to remember that. Being chastised about making noise in some stupid poo. No interest. That's like him saying she's too ugly. I would totally never hook up with her. I definitely couldn't have raped her. Yeah. Dead bodies too, y'all. They do this to dead bodies, so, Turkeys! They've been doing it to turkeys. He's so confused when she stayed in his hotel room for what he said had progressed into consent. Oh, you know what? He's so confused. This lady threw herself on him. And he is a married man with all 7 of those babies or kids. No charges were brought because there was no proof beyond reasonable... The alleged victim and her husband threatened to file a lawsuit. Now, again, this is a Republican family at a Republican kind of convention. They don't do stuff like this for fun. Because look here, they secretly agreed to a financial settlement, which he agreed to pay them. Agreed to a non-disclosure agreement, concealing everything about the incident. And just a reminder, a lot of times women just want to settle because they have lost so much that they just want, a lot of them know, especially this guy. What are the chances they're going to win against this guy? You know what? Just pay for the treatment of all that trauma. So, settlements are oftentimes are financial, especially when they know they don't have any chance of winning in getting a prosecution. Anyway, Trump's team was apparently blindsided by this. Failed to disclose. See, he even lies to this guy. Look at this. One guy, this dude, whoever, I don't care, perhaps even though he's probably one of the least qualified picks for the Secretary of Defense that we've seen, he's likely to be chosen because he seems willing to say and do anything Trump wants. That's what all of them are. They'll all just do whatever he says. Trump thinks he looks and sounds good on TV. And also because Pete has been a strident opponent of gender equality in the military. Shocker. How much you admit gender equality at all? Proclaiming women are unfit for combat. They can give birth and do the most traumatizing thing that can happen to a human body 7 times for you, buddy. Oh, no, sorry, not your stepkids. You don't care about that. But too delicate, fragile little lady, right? But that only applies for men like this to white women, of course. Diversity's garbage. He was even banned from Biden's inauguration because a military officer was alarmed of his tattoos of the far right crowd. Here's the thing. After all that stuff his mama said about him and all these things, she just went on today to be like, no, he's just a innocent little baby bird. Some of the stuff she said. Thank you for your belief in my son. We all believe in him. We really believe that he is not the man he was 7 years ago. I'm not that mother, and I hope people will hear that story today and the truth of that story. I'm not that crazy woman who, called out my son like I should and, defended the mother of his children against an abusive person who just happens to be my son. No, I'm not her. I'm a pick me! And I'm going to be the mother of one of the most powerful men in the world. Of course she's doing this. This is the most white woman behavior ever. Oh, you know what? Never mind. It benefits me. I'm going to be the mother of the man who has his finger on the nuke in charge of hundreds of billions of dollars and millions of people that can literally destroy the world. I'm the mama of that, the queen bee of that. Fork this lady. The other thing is that I'm here to tell the truth. To tell the truth to the American people. To tell the truth to the senators on the Hill. Especially you female ones. You female senators. I really hope that you will not listen to the media and you will listen to Pete, the white nationalist man who loves griping. Of course she looks like this. And the media just got it all wrong. They don't know the whole story. So they were going through, Pete and his wife were going through a difficult divorce, a very emotional time. I'm sure many of you across the country understand how difficult it is to divorce. The divorces in a family when the man has been cheating and drinking and is abusing women and da-da-da. You all know that, right? Right? He's just like one of you. There is emotion. If they say this word one more time, I swear to God, she keeps saying this, emotional. I'm emotional. He's emotional. We're all emotional. You know what? You are just as bad as your son. Because by going back and doing all this, you are validating this man in terms of his social capital. Before, people were like, oh my God, even his mom hates him. Now they're like, she says he's changed and she regrets it. I mean, not the average person, but in general. When we're so emotional in emotion, we say things, and I wrote that in haste with deep emotion as a parent. About 2 hours later, my husband, that strong man that I really wanted, tells me that I should think things through more. Pete and I are both passionate, emotional people. I wrote that out of love. 2 hours later, I retracted it with an apology. Nobody's seen that. Show it to us then. Show it to us. Oh, and while I'm at it, I want to talk about this fake media. The media, it's y'all's problem. Deflect. It's not me or my rapist son. It is the media who bullied me into talking to y'all. They're dangerous, and they're hard on families, and I just care about the family, but only white nationalist Christian family. He's a new person. He's redeemed. God's forgiven him. God's forgiven him. Why haven't you? Maybe you're not godly. I think we've all changed after 7 years, right? Y'all are not grapists anymore. I'm not a rapist. He's not a rapist. None of us are rapists. I believe he's the man for the job. Of course you do. You're powerful now, Bert. She's talking about, I hope you get female senators get to know him. Listen with your heart to the truth of people. No, don't listen with your heart. Listen to your intuition. Your heart is also, well, your heart and trauma responses and all like this stupid empathy or whatever, codependency, not empathy, that we learned is like, oh, I love him. No, we don't. Don't listen to your heart. He's just a little boy. Notice that this is who he is when, this is who he wants to be when he's not in trouble. This is what, do you understand what they're doing here? Oh, he's a big, tough man. Now he's just a little baby bird. Our job as parents is to correct. They are to speak truth. And I am a passionate person. A passionate, emotional, passionate. And sometimes words just come out of my mouth. They just, I don't believe any of it's true. Just a innocent little boy. And then as soon as he gets confirmed, we're going to see the guy with the tattoos being like, It's exhausting, isn't it? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you for watching. Please follow my Patreon if you can. Please check out femfreeze.org. See what all we're doing. And especially thanks for Shar Henley for creating that. I know if you heard the comment song. Stand by your man, comment song. And stand by him no matter what. Cause he's just so good looking, right? Like what the hell, comment song. Stand by your man, even when and rebrand him, even if it's by killing your career. Stand by your man, comment song. Don't be one of these women. I'm like making up this crap right now. And don't be one of these women who humiliates herself to cover for an idiot who sucks. He sucks. Oh, and mama, that's his mama, by the way. Blackface. She sucks just as much as his wife. And they'll stand by the man, the baby bird. Y'all, this is a weird comment song, but et voila. Little palate cleanser for you. It's supposed to be in the karmas. Anyway, et voila. Let me if you heard the Stand By Your Man comment song. Oh.